leadership of the Prime Ministership of Shinzo Abe. Last year, one estimate I saw said that 39% of Japan's Diet members are members of a group closely affiliated with Nippon Kaigi. The group espouses extreme conservatism. It supports revision of the constitution. It wishes to increase the size of the Japanese armed forces, and it also believes in instituting moral education in Japanese schools based on what it believes are traditional Japanese values. And it's I think, true to say that it's a very polarizing organization. Depending on what you believe, Nippon Kaigi is either a deeply sinister group leading Japan back to the bad old days of pre-war militarism, or, on the other hand, it's a shining beacon of pride and patriotism in a country that's been too long burdened by a masochistic view of its own history. After hearing Mr. Takubo, we can all make up our minds. He will talk for about 20 minutes, and then we'll go to a Q&A. Please turn off your mobile phones, as usual, and join me in welcoming Professor Tadai Takubo.
Hello, I am Tadai Takubo.
このメンバーではおそらく一番古い方じゃないかと思うんですけれども、
And I believe I'm perhaps one of the oldest members of this club.
この台の上に乗って皆様方の前でおしゃべりするというのはこれが初めてでありまして、大変光栄なことと存じております。
However, this is my first time to be here on the stage to address people as a speaker at the club, and I'm very honored to have this opportunity.
最初にこちらのクラブのご要望で、日本がどっちの方に向いているのかと。フェアな報道をしなければならないので、参考とするためにお前の考え方を聞かせろということでやってまいりました。
And so first of all, I am here on the request of the Foreign Correspondents Club. I was asked to speak about my thoughts on what direction Japan is now heading in. And based on the principle that we, of course, need to have fairness in reporting, I was asked to give my position and my facts which may be of reference to members here.
フランクに申しますと、外人記者部からの世界への発信はどこにスタンドポイントを置くか、視点をどこに置くかによってガラッと違ってくるというふうに思います。
And to speak very frankly, I believe that the kind of reporting which is made from foreigners from here in Japan to the outside world is very much dependent on what perspective or what standpoint they are starting on.
日本が危険な極めて好戦的な状態にあって、そこでナショナリストである安倍さんが登場したという報道がありますけれども、私はそうは思わない。
There is reporting which claims that Japan is in an extremely dangerous position. It is very belligerent at the moment, and Prime Minister Abe has arisen as a nationalist in the basis of such circumstances. However, I do not believe that this is the case.
現実に安倍さんがナショナリスト的な政策をやったということは聞いていません。
I have not heard that Prime Minister Abe has indeed undertaken any policies which are nationalistic.
それよりも日本の立場というのは、今からそうですね、20数年前にブレジンスキー教授が極めて正確に言ってます。
And I believe that the position which Japan is in now was actually very accurately put forward some 20-something years ago by Professor Brzezinski.
彼は何を言ってるかというと、日本はデファクトプロテクトリート・オブ・ザ・ユナイテッド・ステイツって言ってるんです。
And Professor Brzezinski put forward in his thesis that Japan is indeed a de facto protectorate of the United States.
仮に国家が経済と政治と軍事で三本足で三脚で立っているという仮定をいたします。
And he puts forward the thesis that the state is based on the three main pillars of the economy, politics, and the military.
その一本の軍事が全く普通の国ではないのです。普通の国のそれではないのです。
However, in the case of Japan, one of these three pillars, which is the military, is in a situation which is completely not a normal country.
これを間違えるととんでもない記事が飛び出す。
And if a mistake is made here, then it can lead to very mistaken reporting.
申し上げておきますけれども、日本は憲法で軍隊の規定がないんです。
And I would like to emphasize that Japan, according to its constitution, does not have specification in regards to military.
軍隊の規定を載せろという一般の国々と同じようなことをやろうとすると、 軍国主義者だという非難を浴びる。
And if one is to be putting forward the proposal that Japan should indeed obtain or create a military as a normal country in a general way, then you would be labeled as militaristic in this approach.
ブルジンスキーがプロテクトリートという言葉を使ったのは外交防衛問題で、日本はいちいちアメリカの言うことを聞かないと動けないじゃないか、これは普通の国じゃないじゃないかということであります。
And so in Brzezinski's thesis, when he is putting forward that Japan is a protectorate of the United States, this is because Japan is in the situation, both in terms of diplomacy and also defense, that it cannot move at all without listening first or without speaking first to the United States. This is by no means the situation of a normal country.
ですから皆さんから見ると左がこっちですね、右がこっちですね、真ん中がこっちですね。日本は非常な左から真ん中に軌道修正しようとしている。
And so, from your perspective, where the audience is sitting, if we have left on one side and right on the other and center in the middle, then I believe that Japan is in the situation of moving from the extreme left and shifting its direction more towards the center.
一部の新聞は真ん中からエクストリームライトに移りつつあるという分析をしております。非常に遺憾であります。
Some newspapers do analyze that Japan is moving from a center position to an extreme right. However, I believe that this is completely not the case.
1990年から91年までの例の湾岸戦争を皆さんご存知でしょう。
I believe, or many of you, are you familiar with the 1990 to 91 First Gulf War?
日本は何もしなかった。130億ドル出しただけで何にも動かなかった。
So Japan did nothing at this time. It put forward a mere $13 billion towards the war there. However, it did nothing in this.
ブッシュ大統領が率いる国際チーム軍隊ですけれども、この軍隊であっという間にこの戦争は抑えられた。
And the international team, or the international military put together by President Bush, was able to very much overwhelmingly control this war.
日本は140億ドルのお金を出したけれども、どこからも感謝されませんでした。
And Japan did put forward $14 billion towards this effort. However, it received no gratitude, no thanks from anywhere.
私は当時ワシントンにおりまして、ワシントンポストの一面の広告を見た。これはクウェートが、国際社会の皆さんへと題して掲げた大きな感謝広告です。
I was at the time based in Washington, and actually Kuwait at the time put forward a full-page advertisement in the Washington Post, giving its thanks to the international community.
非常に丁寧な言葉でお礼が述べられて、以下の30カ国にお礼を申し上げますと言ったけども、以下の30カ国には日本の名前はなかった。
And this was put forward in a very considerate way, expressing its thanks to those countries, some 30 countries who were involved there, and listed these 30 countries. However, Japan's name was not included.
イギリスのエコノミストは、最も私は長年愛読していた、最も権威のある雑誌だと思っていた。
The Economist, a UK-based publication, is something which I had been reading for many years and very much respected as a publication.
この雑誌は日本は眠っているのか昼寝しているのか、国際情勢が全く分かってないと、こういうことで日本よ立ち上がれと言った。
And this magazine called or had a reporting which said, well, is Japan sleeping? Japan is not understanding the international situation and calling on Japan to stand up.
素晴らしい論説だと思って、これを私は自分の著書に引用いたしました。
And I believe this was an excellent editorial. I actually quoted this in my own writing also.
ところが去年、私は日本会議に関するエコノミストの論調を見てびっくりした。
However, last year I was very much surprised by the article in The Economist in regards to the Nihon Kaigi or the Japan conference.
日本は戦前の日本に復帰しようとしている。こんなことを書いてる。
And this article purported that Japan was trying to return to its pre-war situation.
弱い私がこれにレジスタンスできるのはたった一つ。これを読まないことです。
And there is one way I think that we can resist this, or that I felt that I could resist this, and this is not to read such reporting.
この後ですけれども、つまりこの後というのは湾岸戦争が終わった数年後に小沢一郎という政治家がある本を書きました。
And so following the Gulf War, in some years after that, a politician named Mr. Ozawa published a certain book.
政治家として私はこの人を全く信用しない。
As a politician, I have no trust in Mr. Ozawa.
今正反対のことを言ってるから。
And he's actually saying the complete opposite of the situation.
しかし当時彼は日本は普通の国になれと言った。
But at the time he was calling on Japan to become a normal country.
これは私は小沢が言う前から私ども仲間がずっと言ってたことでありますから大賛成であります。
And this is something which I and also my colleagues had been calling for since long before Mr. Ozawa put forward that Japan should become a normal country. This is therefore something which I greatly believe in and agree with.
でこの小沢の言った普通の国、実は私どもが先に言った言葉ですけれども、普通の国実現に着手し、これを次々と手を打ってきたのがたった一人、安倍晋三です。
And so while we had been calling for Japan to become a normal country since long before Mr. Ozawa, I believe that there is only one person who has really concretely been working step by step in order to realize this, and this is Shinzo Abe.
で、私はここで安倍の立脚点を皆さんに理解していただきたいと思います。
And so here I believe it's very important that you understand what it is that, or where the foundations of where Mr. Abe is standing come from.
安倍は真ん中の普通の国から、右にシフトしたナショナリストではない。
Mr. Abe is not someone who has started from the center where a normal country is and shifting towards the right.
非常にエクストリームレフトから普通の国真ん中に日本の路線を持ってこようと努力した唯一の政治家であります。
He is the only politician who has made efforts in order to bring Japan from the very extreme left to the center as a normal country.
今自衛隊は皆さんご存知の通り、さっき申し上げた通り、憲法に規定がないこの自衛隊、国のバックボーンというのはありますでしょうか。
And so, as you know, and as I briefly mentioned as well, the self-defense forces, of course, are the backbone of Japan. However, there is not stipulations in regards to them within the constitution.
それから天皇陛下は警察と消防の関係の大会にはご出席になるけれども、自衛隊の関連のミーティングにはお出にならない。
And for example, the emperor himself will attend gatherings which are organized by the police force or the ambulance and so on. The fire brigade. However, not in regards to the self-defense force.
軍をコントロールする統帥権が戦前と戦後まるっきり変わっちゃっている。
And so the system in regards for control of the military has completely changed in the post-war period.
こういう事実をわきまえないと、日本は強い国がさらに強い国になろうとしているという誤解が生まれます。
And so without understanding these realities, this is what indeed leads to the misunderstanding that Japan as a strong country is trying to become stronger.
もう一つ付け加えたいと思います。
I would like to add one further point.
私は国際情勢をずっと、分析してきた人間でありますが、皆さんお気づきの通り、今回のテレビで誰かどこの政治家が国際情勢を論じていた人はいますか、一人でも。
I have for many years been analyzing the international situation or international political situation. However, I would like to ask, in recent days on the television, in the media, there is not a single politician who is talking about this international situation.
昨日ハーグで仲裁裁判所は判決を出しました。
Of course, yesterday we saw the verdict at the court in The Hague.
まさに日本とアメリカが立脚する点をハーグの人たちは判事は述べたわけです。
And so we could see that from The Hague there was this view or this verdict coming out, which was indeed as the United States and Japan have been saying.
このことが一切選挙の争点にならなかったというのは異様なことだと私の目にすら見えた。
And so in my perspective, the fact that this was not even raised as an agenda in the recent election was something extremely out of the ordinary.
中国の膨張主義でありますけれども、特に南シナ海で目立ったのは13年以降であります。
And the Chinese expansionism, particularly in the region of the South China Sea, has been something which stands out, particularly from the year around 2013.
ハーグの判決でお分かりのように、明らかなエクスパンショニズムではないか。
And so as we can see from the verdict from The Hague, this is indeed very clearly expansionism.
これに対抗するに日本は先ほど申し上げたように防衛で欠陥があるんです。3本足の1本がぐらついてるから2本足は立てない。
And so, as I mentioned, well, in order to respond to this, the fact that the main three pillars of Japan, one of these is very much lacking or lagging behind even, and that is the pillar of the military, is a reason that Japan is not able to fully respond to this situation.
ブレジンスキーにはそれは私は説明したいんだけど、この欠けた一本を補うために日米同盟を強化しなければ日本はサバイブできないんです。
And what I would like to explain to Mr. Brzezinski, if I had a chance, that when we consider this one failing or lacking pillar of the three pillars in Japan, what is needed in order to do this is to strengthen the US-Japan alliance. And without doing this, we will not be able to survive.
中国の膨張主義に対して最も信頼すべきはアメリカでありますけれども、ここには目立たないながら大きな変化が起こりつつある。
And in order to respond to this expansionism from China, what is most necessary and who we can most trust indeed is the United States. However, this is not standing out at the moment. However, there have been major changes. Sorry.
アメリカ大統領候補であるクリントンさん、トランプさん、トランプさんが性格的にどうであるかどうかっていうのは私はコメントしませんけれども、お二人が言ってらっしゃるのはアメリカは対外コミットメントはもうかなり制限するということを言ってらっしゃる。
And if we look at the candidates in the United States presidential race, candidates Clinton and Trump, I will refrain from making any comment on the personality of Mr. Trump. However, both of these candidates are very much saying that the United States will restrict or will limit its external engagements, its external commitments.
オバマ現大統領でももう2009年、これはウエストポイントの陸軍士官学校でアフガニスタンに増兵はするけれども私が一番、建設をしたいのはアメリカファーストを言ってるんです。
And the current Prime Minister, Mr. Obama, as well, if we look, for example, at his 2009 speech at West Point Academy, also said that while we may increase soldiers in Afghanistan, what I most want to build, what I most want to construct is a United States first.
一つ、中国の膨張主義、二つ、アメリカの内向きな傾向、この二つの間に立って日本はどうしなければいけないか。
And so the first point I wanted to raise was the Chinese expansionism. The second is the fact that the United States is more inward-looking, and Japan is very much standing between these 2 points as well. So what direction should Japan be heading in from now?
戦前の軍隊を実現するなんていうおどろしいこと言わないでほしい。戦前の軍のシステムと今の自衛隊のシステムは全く違うんです。
And so I hope, or I very much wish that people would not refer to Japan going back to its pre-war military. It's a completely different situation between the pre-war military and the current self-defense forces.
その自衛隊のシステムを普通の国のような軍隊にしてこれを憲法に盛り込む。従って私は改憲に賛成であります。
And so looking at the current self-defense force system, looking at how to transform this or to shift this into being a normal country that is in having a military, and how to include this within the Constitution. This is the point, and this is the reason why I am in favor of constitutional amendment.
もうこれ最後にしますけれども、護憲派の言い分は中国の言っていることと極めて似ているということを最後に申し上げて、私のプレゼンテーションを終えたいと思います。
And the final point I would like to raise is those people who are calling to protect the Constitution in Japan are indeed actually saying very much the same thing as China.
ご清聴ありがとうございました。
Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor. I'm sure there will be lots of questions, and so before we go into them, I just want to remind everyone of a couple of our long-standing rules. One is this is a news conference intended principally for working members of the press. So priority at the beginning will go, first of all, to working members of the press who are professional members of this club, and then after that to other working members of the press, and then if there is time to professional associates and associates. So if you're not a professional member, please don't raise your hand, at least at the beginning. I will announce when we can go to those people. The second point, which again is always pointed out but not often enforced, is that this is a place for questions, not for speeches. Please, your opinions, no doubt, are fascinating, but share them with us afterwards. We're here as journalists to put questions to the professor and to put them succinctly. If people editorialise too much or talk for too long, I'm sorry to say I will interrupt you and ask you to sit down. So with that, we will start with working members of the press who are professional members. Yes.
Thank you. Isabel Reynolds from Bloomberg. Now that proponents of changing the Constitution are said to have two-thirds majority in both houses of Parliament, what are your expectations of the Abe administration in terms of how to change the Constitution and when? And is there any way you can put pressure on the government to fall in line with your own wishes?
先日の選挙で3分の2の改憲派が取れたということになったんですけれども、安倍首相に対する田久保先生のご期待、そして今後その憲法がどういうふうに改正されるとしたらいつ、そしてどの方法、そして田久保さんを含めて日本会議の方から現政権に対する、例えばその自分たちの立場に圧力というのをその立場と賛同するようにどういう働きかけができますか。
ご質問ありがとうございました。
Thank you for your question.
3つあると思います。一つは私の立場、個人の立場であります。私自身は3分の2というのは戦後初めて、衆参両院で3分の2というのは戦後の初めてで絶好のチャンスを迎えた。で、私が安倍さんであれば、この任期の間に全力を挙げて憲法改正に実現したいというふうに思います。
I believe that there are 3 points in regards to this. The first is in regards to my personal position. The fact that those who are for constitutional amendment have reached more than two-thirds majority in both houses, I believe is the first time this has happened since the end of the war. Therefore, I believe that this is indeed the best chance to go forward with constitutional amendment. If I were in Prime Minister Abe's position, I would be putting all efforts forward during my time as Prime Minister, during my term, in order to achieve this amendment.
日本会議ですけれども、いろいろの合議体でございますから、こういう大きな選挙の後は、歓迎の声明はもう皆さんにお配りしたと思います。発表したと思います。その他、どうぞ。
In regards to the Nihon Kaigi or the Japan conference, of course, because this was very significant results in this election as well, we have many voices, of course, within our conference which are very much welcoming these results, and indeed we have also announced a statement to that effect.
日本会議はこれからいろいろな運動を検討してから乗り出していくんだろうというふうに思います。
And so the Nihon Kaigi, the Japan conference, will from now be considering various different movements or actions which we can take in regards to this and moving forward to take such steps.
3番目、私の希望でありますけれども、皆様ご存知の通り、日本は民主主義社会でありまして、同じ自民党の中でも憲法改正に慎重な人たちもいるし、積極的な人もいる。自民党の中でも一本にまとめるには相当難しいかなと思います。まして野党の人たちの発言を見ておりますと、憲法9条に反対だと明確に申す方もいらっしゃるので、これから日本全体がどういうふうに動いていくのか、これは私の研究テーマの一つだと思います。もちろん国際情勢が大きなやっぱり要因になると思います。
And in regards to my expectations or hopes towards the current administration, of course, as you know, Japan is indeed a democracy, and even within the Liberal Democratic Party, there are those who are cautious in regards to constitutional amendment and those who are proactive in regards to this as well. There are differing opinions within the LDP. Likewise, if we look towards the opposition as well, we can also see some voices in the opposition which are indeed against Article 9 of the Constitution as well. So it would be very difficult to bring the voice of the LDP into one line, I believe, in the current situation. How to put forward a nationwide discussion towards this in Japan, I believe, is indeed my own research topic from now, which I will continue to look at. And I also believe that the international environment or conditions will have a great bearing upon this.
Thank you. Okay, we'll have David next and then Jake.
Thank you, and thanks for coming today. I work for The Economist, the newspaper you hold in such affection. I wonder if you could give us some idea of your vision of Japan in the future, let's say 10 years from now. What kind of Japan would you like to see? And I'm particularly interested in hearing about your view of the role of the emperor. And if I might be allowed, I'd like to ask a second question. Is that okay, Richard? You said that you resent the comparison with the war, and that you dislike when people say that Nippon Kaigi is trying to turn us back. Would you give us your views on World War II? Do you think it was a mistake? Thank you.
皇室のに関する問題と、それから、戦前の日本が正しかったかどうかという2点でございますね。そうですね。戦争そのものですね。はい。一つ皇室ですけれども、ここでご認識いただきたいのは、欧州の王室ははっきりとこの非難でも何でもない事実なんですけども、征服王であります。それから中国の皇帝は歴史革命というのがあって一代で終わり、次に革命が起こるんです。天の命で代々が変わってくる。この次です。日本の天皇はこれは祭祀王というんです。英語でも申しますとプリーストキングと言った方がいいと思います。でこれは平安時代からですね、そもそも皇室は一つの権力も持っていたんですけども、平安時代から2つに分かれ始めた。でそれは天皇陛下が御幼少、まだ非常に子供の時、それから too old、年をお取りになりすぎて仕事ができない時に摂政関白というシステムを藤原氏、これ貴族の出身ですけれども、実際に藤原氏が権力をこういう形で皇室から奪い始めた。その次に平家です。それから鎌倉幕府、それから北条があって足利があって食宝時代があって270年の江戸時代を迎えた。ところがここでペリーが来て欧米の国々の大ショックが大きなショックが加わって日本は近代国家で明治維新を行った。その結果何が起こったかというと、平安朝以降は祭祀王で権力を持っているのは武士なんです。これ刀を持ったわけです。これは江戸幕府に至るまで全権限を握った。でその人たちはただし皇室にだけは手をつけなかった。2、3の例外はあります。後醍醐天皇とか、後白河天皇の一時期とか、こういう例外はあるけど、約2000年の間日本の皇室は続いているんです。しかもこの皇室の権力じゃない、権力は武士が握った。この二分論というのは世界で日本だけなんです。したがってこの皇室を尊重しようという人がこれはいて当然なんだけども、日本人の中にこれを軽蔑する人がいる。よく分かってないんです。でこれが非常に困ったことだなと思う。であと10年間にどうするかというと、私はね、一般の日本人でも皇室はいずれイギリスのような皇室になってそのうち共和制になるだろうなと思ってる人、私の友人にもいるんです。そうはならない。今の皇室が私はきちっと存続していくだろうというふうに思います。
So first of all, in regards to the question about the role of the emperor or the imperial household, first of all, I would like to ask people to recognize the fact that the imperial household and the system and the authority which is placed with it is very different in Japan in comparison to, for example, the imperial households or the imperial families which we see in Europe as well. If we look at, for example, the systems in Europe or also in other parts where, for example, there are historical revolutions which lead to change in the emperor and so on in this history. However, in the case of Japan, the emperor is in the position of, or has traditionally been in the position of, being a priest king. This has been the situation since the Heian period in Japan, where the imperial family or the emperor held the authority or the power within the country as well. There was, following this era, a divide where this went into two, particularly when we saw at the time of an aristocrat called Fujiwara, at the time when there was starting to take more authority or power from the emperor in this position as well. We saw also this followed in the system continuing to within the Heike, Kamakura, Ashikaga times, and so on as well, and then the 270 years during the Edo period. Of course, following these many centuries and this many long time of the history of the imperial family was when Commodore Perry came to Japan, and this led to, of course, a great shock within Western countries as well, the modernization of Japan and what became known as the Meiji Restoration. However, what is important to be said is throughout almost this 2,000 years of history, the imperial family in Japan has held the authority, and there were very few, only a couple of exceptions where there was attempts for this authority, for example, to be moved from this situation. It was very much held throughout these many centuries. We can see, for example, now within the Japanese society, there are some people who are having a non-respectful view of the imperial family. However, I believe if we look at the history of this situation and this very long tradition, this is something which is very much something that we should be cautious about.
10年後のビジョンの方をもう一度お願いしてもよろしいですか。ビジョンについて日本の共和制などっていう最後の方を一度お願いします。
10年後のビジョン。
そうですね。
10年後のビジョンというのは、私はおそらく10年後には憲法が改正されると思う。そうして、北東アジアの一角にやはり普通の国が出現すると思います。しかし我々はこれ周辺諸国を脅かすわけにはいかない、仲良くやらないと我々は生存できない地政学的地位にあるわけであります。したがって憲法を改正した後の10年間、あるいはそれ以後もずっとですけれども、我々は軍隊、特に軍隊を作るけれども、ここにシビリアンコントロール、厳しい制度を定めて、これはなんていうか関係国に心配を起こさせない。しかも国内的には今観光客がたくさん来られて日本を知るようになった。優しい国だね、治安はしっかりしてるね、文化も面白いね、平和を愛する国だねという印象を強く出していく。私はね、道義国家が目的だというふうに思います。
And in regards to the 10-year vision of Japan, well, I believe, first of all, that the constitution will be revised within this time, and Japan will go towards becoming a normal country located within Northeast Asia. Of course, we have to avoid any giving worries or feeling of being threatened and so on to neighboring countries. We need to coexist within this region, but also provide a role in limiting within this region as well. So if we look at these 10 years or past then as well, I believe that Japan will create a military, but this should be placed under civilian control. And this could be one way, for example, to prevent related countries or neighboring countries from having concerns in regards to this. We are also seeing in recent years an increased number of tourists from other countries visiting Japan who go back with the impression of Japan being a very kind country, very safe, having very interesting culture, and being very peaceful as well. So I believe that it's also important for us to look at how to make this image strong as well, and therefore to become a moral country.
それからマクニーズさんのもう一つのご質問にお答えします。
And I would like to respond to Mr. McNeil's second question.
日本は戦前を目論んでいるかどうかですけれども、戦前の行動についてどうかというご質問ですけれども、これはいかなる国も戦争した国は異なる歴史観を持っているんだということは、これは当たり前ですよ。これを修正主義というのもそれは結構だし、修正主義じゃないよというのも結構だけれども、いかなる国も歴史観というのは違うものだというふうに私は了解をしている。
And so in regards to this question, and well, first of all, whether Japan is going back to its pre-war system or what I think of Japan during the war as well, I would first like to say, and this is the case for all countries, including all those countries which have gone to war as well, it is natural and in fact obvious that they would each have a different view of history as well. Whether you want to call this revisionism or not is, well, I'm all right either way with that. However, it is important to note that each country has its own view of history.
これをですね、いつまで根に持っているかというと、賢い国際性を持った政治家は、歴史観をことにしながらも、そういういつまで根に持つというようなことはいたしません。
However, when such questions or such views will continue for going in forever as well, if we look at, for example, very clever, internationally minded politicians as well, they are very much of the position of looking back at this, but also looking at, well, shall we say, rather than just keeping going towards these issues.
例を申し上げます。
I would like to give an example.
一部の皆さんがナショナリストと叫んだ安倍さんは米議会で何と言われたか。非常に柔らかいことを言われて、アメリカの議員は下院議長などは涙を流されていたのを私はテレビで目撃いたしました。
An example of this is, for example, there are those of you who continue to cry out that Japan is becoming more nationalist, or that Prime Minister Abe is indeed nationalist. But if we look at his speech in the US Congress, for example, as well, I was also witnessing this myself on the television, and we could see the situation where both the speaker and also other members, in hearing these words, these very careful words which came from Prime Minister Abe, were indeed in tears, moved to tears.
アメリカの大統領のオバマさんはどうされたか。伊勢志摩に来られた時に、特に広島に訪問された。
And if we look at the case, for example, of President Obama, when he was visiting Japan, he did come to the Ise Shrine, but also to Hiroshima.
二人の賢明な政治家が、歴史観はそれぞれ異なるけれども、大きな見地から水に流して新しい日米関係を作ろうという、これを行為と言葉で示されたことだと思います。
And so if we look at the actions of these two very intelligent politicians, I believe that they are showing with both their actions and their words that while they may have different views of history, in a way they are looking at how this can be, well, bygones be bygones, how this can be put behind into the past, and instead a new US-Japan relationship be built. And this is very much what Obama and Abe have demonstrated.
これは2番目のマクニールさんに対するお答えです。
And so this is my answer to Mr. McNeil's second question.
Mr. McNeil will correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understood it, his question was simpler than that. I think the question was simply, was Japan's prosecution of the Second World War a mistake?
Ah, 日本の戦争は、これは間違っていたかどうかというと、間違っていた部分もあります。正しい部分もあると僕は思います。これはアメリカの学者、国際文化会館の館長の松本重原さんの恩師である、今ちょっと名前が出てこないんだけども、1940年の戦争とフランクリン・ D ・ルーズベルトという名著がある。ここにアメリカがいかに間違ってたということも書いてあります。したがってどっちかが絶対に正しくてどっちかが絶対に間違いということはない。どっちもどっちだということだと思います。
And so to respond to the question in regards to whether I believe that Japan's war was wrong, I believe that some parts were wrong and some parts were correct. If we look, for example, at a well-known book which was published by the chair of the International House of Japan in regards to Franklin D. Roosevelt's 1940 war, this very much clearly demonstrates the fact that there were also parts of the United States war which were indeed wrong as well. Therefore, I believe that we cannot say that one party was completely right or completely wrong. There were parts which were right and those which were wrong.
Thank you. Jake?
I'm Jake Adelstein, writer for the Los Angeles Times, the Daily Beast, the Japan Times, and Zaiten. Thank you very much for coming today. I know that you are not in the best of health. I read your interview in the July issue of Ibuki, which is Nippon Kaigi's magazine, last year. And it's the one in which you said that Japan should reinstate the emperor as head of state, and you expressed your great admiration for the emperor. And what I wanted to ask is, Nippon Kaigi and yourself expressed great admiration for the emperor and would like him to be reinstated as head of state, yet he himself has many times apologized for atrocities committed by the Japanese during the Second World War and has clearly stated that he wants Japan to be a pacifist nation. So how do you square respecting the emperor and wanting him to be the center of state when his words you don't take seriously or have opposing viewpoints to?
ご質問の方がですね、その記事の中で天皇はまたその国家のトップにすべきということがあったんですけれども、最近の天皇陛下の発言の中でその平和主義、そして日本の戦争に対する謝罪という言葉もあります。その言葉は日本会議の主張と少し異なる部分もあると思いますが、その天皇陛下を尊重しながらやはり違った発言、違った立場からの発言というのはどういうふうに両立としてお考えでしょうか。
天皇陛下については私の見解ですけれども、日本は立憲君主主義なんですよね、今の日本は。
So I would like to share my personal position in regards to the emperor. Currently, Japan is a constitutional monarchy.
で私は先ほど天皇についていろいろ申し上げましたけれども、明治以降は権力は立憲君主制ですから天皇に形式上差し上げた。
And I briefly mentioned before various parts in regards to the history of the imperial house or the emperor, but since the Meiji time, under the constitutional monarchy of Japan, the authority which is allocated to the emperor is somewhat of a, just in terms of the system.
ただし天皇はすべての責任を負わないというのは、御名御字という天皇のお名前が出ていて決定する文書ですけど、その下に副書者というのがいる。それが各首相から大臣から全部署名する、その人たちが代わって実権を振るった、こういう結論を出したという証明なんです。
And while the emperor may be in this position of authority, it does not mean that they bear all responsibility. If we look at, for example, the documents which put in place this system and which have the names of the emperors listed here as well, it has also the names of the prime ministers listed there, and this is the document which they sign on behalf to say that they will be responsible for implementing in the authority on behalf of this.
で明治天皇も昭和天皇も大正天皇はちょっと期間が短かったんですけども、3つずつの決定をされただけ。明治天皇は一つは都を京都から東京に移された時、それから西郷と大久保が争った西南事件、これともう一つは島津久光が三条実美をこれ弾劾したんです。その時明治天皇はこれを断を下された。3つだけなんです、明治天皇。
And so within this document, it puts forward the various acts which the emperor actually has the authority to decide to go forward with themselves. If we look, for example, at the document of the Meiji and Showa emperors, they have these various acts listed. In the case of the Taisho emperor, his period was too short to be included within this. But in the case of the Meiji emperor, there were 3 particular decisions or 3 particular acts which were undertaken by the emperor at the time. The first of these was the move of the capital city from Kyoto to Tokyo. The second was in regards to what was known as the Seinan incident.
3つ目、島津久光、薩摩藩の藩主です。
And the third point was in regards to the head of the Satsuma clan known as Shimazu, and this was in regards to a certain act in regards to a battle in which he was involved.
それで明治はですね、これだけの大きな明治憲法によると権力を総覧しているのは明治天皇。しかし実際にその権力を分担したのは元老なんです。
And so if we look, for example, even within the Meiji Constitution, where the emperor is allocated with such authority, however, the actual facts in regards to how much he was implementing within this is very much limited within these aspects.
で言論がだんだん少なくなってきて死んだりなんかしてくると、これからが問題になってくる。これは私は日本の悪い点だと思いますけれども、権力を軍令部総長、参謀総長、陸軍参謀総長、海軍軍令部長、内閣総理大臣、海軍大臣、陸軍大臣、5人でそれぞれが権力を取ってしまった。これが戦争の最大の私は失敗だったと思います。
And however, after this, we saw that there was a differentiation made in regards to the system, and actually this authority was split within 5 different positions in the pre-war, in the Meiji area. This was in regards to the Army, Navy, the Prime Minister, the Minister for Navy, and Minister for Army. And I believe that this was indeed a great, a very problematic aspect of the Japanese system, and this was indeed a mistake at that time.
それから昭和天皇、3つのご判断をされただけ。これも日本が政府の一部門がやった悪いこと、できないことを初めてご判断だ。立憲君主制の見本であります。一つは満州事変の前の、張作霖爆殺事件、非常に立腹された。
And in regards to the Showa emperor, there were also 3 decisions which this emperor made during his time as well. The first of these was the explosion incident, which was implemented prior to the Manchu incident.
そうです。2番目、これは226事件で、反乱軍の将校を絶対にお許しにならなかった。
And the second was in regards to what was known as the 226 incident, and this was not forgiving or not permitting what happened in regards to the rioting groups.
3番目、終戦の時に内閣が結論を出すことができなくなった時に、もう戦いは終結すべしというご判断を下されたのは昭和天皇です。
And the third of the decisions which was made by the Showa emperor was at the time of the end of the war, when the cabinet was not able to reach a decision, and therefore he made the decision to bring the war to an end.
以上ですが、ちょっと違います。
Well, hang on, Jake. Sorry, we haven't got long.
Just clarified it really short. The question was, do you agree with the emperor's statements on pacifism and inflicting harm on the people that Japan conquered? Yes or no?
質問を簡単にもう一度申し上げますと、天皇陛下の平和主義に対するご発言、そしてその戦争に対する謝罪についてのご発言というのはイエスなのかノーなのか、田久保さんの立場からその天皇陛下の発言についての
そうですか。天皇陛下のご発言は私はすべて正しいと思う。
I believe that all remarks made by the emperor are correct.
Okay, Greg Clark. You.
I am freelance from Australia, and I publish in the Japan Times. Nice to see you again. I've been a longer member of this club than yourself, even. You accuse China of Bochoshugi, expansionism in the South China Sea. You know that pre-war Japan claimed all the islands in the South China Sea. So presumably pre-war Japan was Bochoshugi, expansionist. And in the peace treaty of 1952, with China, Japan, in effect, handed over all those islands to China. It gave up all right, claim and title to those islands in the peace treaty specifically with China. So how can China, right, the islands, it mentions specifically the Spratly Islands and the Paracel Islands, Japan gives up all right and claim in its peace treaty with China. So how can China today be accused of Bochoshugi? In fact, it's not claiming all those islands, it's only claiming some of those islands.
こちらの会のオーストラリアの記者です。1952年の日本と中国の和平条約の中で、 その様々なその島々を中国に渡したということもその条約の中に盛り込まれてるんですけれども、特に南沙諸島そして南西諸島についてそこに盛り込まれてるんですけれども、そういったようなことを考えますと、その今中国が南シナ海で行っていることというのは本当に膨張主義と言えるでしょうか。
その前に何かありましたね。
その前はそうです、戦前の日本も同じように、その島まで、アジア太平洋の方でもその膨張主義だったということも言えると思いますが、という全文でした。
クラークさんね、まずこういうことなんですよ。戦争は、一つは日中の戦争であり、2番目はパート2が日米であり、パート3は日ソの問題だ。3つとも少しずつ違うんですね。で今おっしゃったのは日中の問題で、南シナ海に特定されたというふうに思います。で南シナ海につきまして日本が戦前に何をやったか、これ仮に膨張主義をやったからといって今の中国の膨張主義が許されるわけがないと私は思います。従いまして私の立場は昨日のハーグの国際的常識に従うべきで、中国のやってることは冒険主義ではないということはこれは間違いじゃないか、明らかな冒険主義ではないか、こういうふうに思います。
So first of all, in regards to the war, I believe that it can be divided very much into three particular parts, or three stages, or three wars even, shall we say. And it is the first of these, the Japan-China war, to which you are particularly referring, and in regards to the South China Sea issue. Even if pre-war Japan could be said to have been expansionist, I don't believe that this does at all excuse or mean that we should permit China's current expansionism. And if we look at the verdict from The Hague yesterday as well, this is indeed something which the international community should ensure is obeyed.
That's it? Okay. We have a number of questions, people raising their hands. Professor, is there any chance we could extend by 5 minutes? Or?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, great. Well, if we can keep the questions short, then we should be able to fit a few more in. You're next.
Siegfried Knittel, writing for the Austrian newspaper, Der Standard. You're talking about Japan as a normal country. And the Japanese, the LDP wants to change the constitution, not only the paragraph 9, they want to change the individual rights of people. People should be obliged to the state. But I think this would be very different from all democratic countries. And so in this way it would not mean Japan is not really a normal country. So what's your stance on changing the constitution and the individual rights?
日本普通の国にすべきというようなお話があったんですけれども、その自民党が提案されている憲法改正というのは第9条だけではなくて個人の権利についても改正が提案されています。でそういったような改正がされたのであればですね、それは他の民主国家とはかなり違ったものになるというふうに思っております。本当に普通の国にするべきというふうにお考えなのであれば、その個人の権利についてどういうふうにお考えていらっしゃるでしょうか。お願いします。
個人の権利、これ基本的人権を尊重するってのは、ほら日本で尊重しないという人はほとんどいないんじゃないですか。ですから他の国と日本が違うというのはどういう点で違うんでしょうか。
So in regards to individual rights, I believe that in Japan it would be very difficult to find any cases where basic human rights are not respected, where people are not respecting these basic human rights. So if you're mentioning that Japan would be different to other democracies, well, what exactly would be different? What is the difference between Japan in regards to individual rights?
They want to change
Sorry, I think we will move on to another question now. Sorry to interrupt you. Linda next.
Linda Sieg with Reuters. You said that Japan should aim to become a moral country, 道義の国家を目標すべきだとおっしゃったと思うんですが、could you elaborate on what that means to be a moral country, and how is this to be achieved? Is this through the education system, for example? Thank you.
それはどういう いう方法で実現、ロイターズの記者なんですけれども、その同義の国家というのはどうやって実現するのか、それは教育を通してなのか、どういったような方法なのか。
これはですね、実を申しますと、3年前に産経新聞社で国民の憲法基礎委員会というのを作りました。でその時の座長を私がやりまして、憲法には一つの目標を掲げる必要があるんじゃないか。でその目標は何がいいか。でこれ一番今までやってきたアホらしい目標というのは軽武装経済大国なんですよ。そういう経済とかお金とかそういう低次元のものではなくて、もっと高い目標を掲げましょう。これは同義国家ではないか、独立自存のという形容詞がつきますけど、独立自存の同義国家で、私なりの解釈は、これは今のご質問があった人権とかですね、民主、それから法治、こういう普遍的な価値観を尊重してこれを求める国にしようという旗を掲げたわけで、これを教育を全部これに持っていこうというような考えではなくて、憲法上の大きな、なんていうかモラルの目標を掲げただけだと、こういうことでございます。
So first of all, 3 years ago, the Sankei newspaper established a commission for considering or proposing a new people's constitution, a new national constitution, and I was the chair of this committee which was established. One of the things we discussed was what kind of goals should be set forth in this new constitution. Until now, there has been, for example, the very, I could even say stupid goals such as, having low armaments and a strong economy, but I believe that we need to have a much higher goal than this in the constitution. And this is indeed what we were discussing within this. And from here is where the point of bringing Japan to be a moral nation or a moral country came from. This moral also came together with two other adjectives, being an independent and also self-respecting country as well. The way that I interpret this is also looking at sharing the universal values of human rights, the people, and the rule of law, for example. We are not necessarily suggesting that education should all be shifted towards this direction or towards these goals as well, but looking at what a higher moral goal to be set forth in the Constitution. And this is where the moral country that I spoke of comes from.
Okay, we'll have the gentleman there and then the lady there.
Hello, my name is Louis Krause. I'm from the Daily Beast. My question was kind of simply, why does the Nippon Kaigi go against or oppose the United Nations Convention on Rights for Children, as well as that some of your most prominent members support corporal punishment or taibatsu? Why is that? And along with that, why is your group not very supportive about rights for women? Even though Prime Minister Abe says he supports women in business roles, he's quietly reduced the number he hopes to gain of women in business roles, the increase from 30% to 15%. So why is that?
質問が2つほどあります。日本会議の会員の中で、そして政策の立場の中で、その国連の子どもの人権に関する条約、日本が撤回すべきというような一つのものがあるんです。そしてその会員の中でその体罰を推進している会員もたくさんいらっしゃるんですけれども、そのことについてコメントお願いします。そして女性の権利についてもお聞きしたいんですけれども、例えば安倍首相はその女性のビジネスでの役割などを推進しようとしているんですけれども、例えば目標を 30% から 15% に減らしたというようなことがあったんですけれども、日本会議の女性の権利についての立場も教えてください。
いやー、これは日本会議のですね、具体的にその、どういう政策をやってるか、私はお恥ずかしいながらそこまで掌握してないんです。で国連の子どものこの体罰、今のご質問は体罰を日本会議はどうしろと言ってるんでしょうか。強めろって言ってるんですか。
So first of all, in regards to the concrete policies of the Nihon Kaigi or the Japan conference, I must say I am somewhat embarrassed to admit it, but I am not necessarily aware of all of the details of the points of the policies which are being proposed. In regards to your question about corporal punishment, is the Nihon Kaigi or the Japan conference proposing that this should be increased or strengthened?
I guess just if several prominent members from your group have shown support for such, I don't know, conferences or organizations, it seems like you guys should dismiss that if that's not something you agree with. So what would you believe is your organization's stance on that?
I think the professor's question was who said that they support corporal punishment. He doesn't seem to know about that.
例えば加瀬秀明さんですとか会員である国会議員がそういったようなことを提案されているということがあるんですけれども。
そうですか。加瀬君がそう言われたということは私初めてですけれども、これ別に彼は日本会議のメンバーですが、日本会議を代表する見解ではないと思います。
So in regards to Mr. Kasebo, this is the first time for me to hear that he is taking that particular position, and it is indeed true that he is a member of the Japan conference. However, I would not necessarily say that this is the official position of the conference.
それから私の個人的な見解ですけど、簡単に申しますと、ラフカディオ・ハーンがですね、日露戦争の時に書いた、論文集があるんですよ。で、そこでつくづく言っているのはこういうことなんです。レストランその他で。
And first of all, to put forward my personal position, I would like to quote something from an essay written by Lafcadio Hearn at the time of the war with Russia.
日本人は子供に体罰を加えない。レストランなんかで暴れ放題子供が暴れてるのにこれを放置している。それから大学に入ってから厳しく言うけどこれ逆なんじゃないかと。これ日露戦争の時にもうラフカディオ・ハーンが言ってるんです。で今でも私はその通りだと思うんです。だから子供に私の個人的見解ですけども少し体罰、それはアメリカがやってるようにスパンクですね、パンツを下ろしてお尻を叩く、それぐらいのことはやって当然じゃないか。だからその国その国にはいろいろな文化と習慣があってこの体罰が必要な時もあるし必要でない国もあるだろうし、これは一概にこうしろという強制はできないと思います。
And the quote from Lafcadio Hearn in his book written at the time of the war between Japan and Russia was he observed that actually in Japan children are even let free to be so wild that even in a restaurant if they are making some kind of trouble or making some kind of a fuss they're completely left to be. There is no corporal punishment at all in Japan is what he was commenting. He also went on to say that in Japan people are more strict with children once they enter university, but actually this should be done much earlier. I think that it's very much the same situation now in Japan as well. In regards to children, there should be some kind of, shall we say, corporal punishment in regards to, for example, spanking them if they're misbehaving and so on as well, as is happening in the United States. Each country has its own culture, its own habits and ways of doing things, of course. And I believe sometimes it is necessary and sometimes not. And therefore it's very difficult to say, well, universally one particular thing which should be done or shouldn't, to put one position forward.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry to say that we have had our extra 5 minutes, for which we're very grateful, but we must bring it to an end there. I'm very grateful that as moderator I haven't had to use corporal punishment or spanking during this afternoon's session, although you can form a queue later if you'd like some. But it falls to me now to thank Professor Takubo very much. Our custom at the club is usually to give our speakers an honorary one-year membership. But given that he's 46 years in the club and counting, that wouldn't be appropriate. But instead, we have a small gift to show our appreciation. And please join me in thanking Professor Tadai Takubo.
Thank you very much.